Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. I hope if you like what you see, what you hear, you hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. It's a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover some new ones at all the usual spots in podcast land. That includes iTunes and Apple Podcast. It's Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, WFPK.org. Of course, right here at YouTube for the video versions or anywhere you get your podcast from. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, Teagan Croft. We're going to be talking about a new movie on Netflix called True Spirit. Now, this is also based on a true story of the Australian sailor Jessica Watson, who became the youngest person to sail all across the entire world, to sail across both hemispheres and make it back in a certain amount of time. And of course, this happened right at the end of the early 2000s. And now there's a movie about it. And it is incredibly moving movie. Of course, just the fact that it's based on a true story is still mind-blowing, even though we've known the story now for over a decade. But to see it kind of brought to movie magic life by Teagan and the team. And of course, maybe you know Teagan from Titans. Titans is what I'm trying to think about on HBO Max, part of the DC universe. So, you know, she's had some superpowers in her past anyway. And so bringing it to the screen like this, it really is an incredible journey. So I'm so excited to talk to her about it. Let's get into it. We're talking True Spirits, out now on Netflix. It's Kyle Meredith with Teagan Croft. Hello, Teagan.
Hello. How you going?
I'm doing great over here. It's a pleasure to meet you. Let me be probably the 1000th to congratulate you on a
Ah,
wonderful and extremely inspiring movie here with True Spirit.
well, thank you. It never gets old. Congratulate me every time.
Can do. So here you have it. This is all based on a true story. Sailor Jessica Watson. How familiar with the story were you going into this?
Well, I wasn't super familiar with it, though I should be. I mean, she's a huge part of Australian culture. She's so embedded into, our, like, we're taught about her growing up and stuff. And I was actually there when I was 6 years old. I was there at Sydney Harbour to welcome her in with my family, but I didn't remember it. So I know I forgot all about it until the audition came across my lap, and my parents were like, "Oh my gosh, we were there. We were there to welcome her in," which is amazing.
Yeah. So at least you do have a little tie in there. That's kind of crazy though.
Exactly. And maybe if you squint hard enough in the footage, you'll see me running around. I don't know. I've got to take another look.
There's some meta thing happening there then
Yeah,
with
definitely. Definitely.
young.
The
So then you get the
multiverse.
part. Right, exactly. So you get the part in this, and I don't know how much movie magic goes into a movie like this, but how much training then do you have to do to prepare for
Oh,
this? Like what did you have to train for?
well, I mean, I'd literally never sailed before in my life. So I had to kind of go into a bit of a boot camp with my trainer, Danielle Hutchison, who helped me literally go from zero to hero with sailing. And I was sailing three weeks of like at least 4 days a week, a couple hours a day of just kind of drilling, learning how to sail. And I found a real love of it that I was shocked by. I mean, I wasn't expecting to find such enjoyment in the precision and always going towards perfection and the optimal angle for optimal speed. I think there's something really, really fun about that.
Isn't that one of the best things about a job like this, though? It's all the traits that you get to pick up along the way because of
Yeah,
roles.
completely. Oh, completely. And also the fun you get to have risk free. I mean, what she did was insanely dangerous, and I was able to kind of recreate it and have just as much fun, but no risks.
So, we hear about in other movies, just, when there's water involved, just how taxing it is to constantly be shooting in the water. Is that the experience that you had on a set like this?
I think the most taxing thing was that because there was so much water CGI, it was very specific how we had to shoot it. We had to make like they budgeted every window they might see and every, bob of water on the outside. So it's really like it was very specific. Like it's a very specific film to shoot, and like knowing that there's so much CGI and like I had to stand in certain places that but it was a great challenge to overcome. They say creativity thrives with boundaries. I think
Mm.
maybe not boundaries, some other word, but with overcoming obstacles, brings out some creative juices. And it was tough to film on the water and film, in the tank, and there was so many rigs and so many different sets. But it was so fun, that was part of the fun of it.
Yeah. Well, it all pays off. I mean, those storm scenes, to be a viewer, it is so nerve-wracking to watch that in the best way.
No, it's nerve-wracking for me, and it's me up there. Like, I swear to God, my sisters were watching it the other night, and my littlest sister, she's only 6, and she had her face in the couch and like her bottom up, and she was just like, didn't want to watch. She's like, there's scary music, I don't want to see it. It is crazy. I mean, Sarah did such a good job of portraying how terrifying those situations would be. I just don't think people would have thought about how truly life-threatening what she did was.
Yeah. So how much did you get to know the real Jessica?
I got to know her a couple, I met her with her a few times. We hung out a bit, but she was really lovely in the fact that, so me, Sarah, the director, and her, we all had a big dinner right before filming started. And we discussed how we wanted the character of Jess to be a character that we kind of create. And I put my own spin on, and Sarah puts her spin on, and, heavily, heavily inspired by Jess. And Jess was so lovely about oh God, I don't even care. She was really supportive of the idea of creating a character within its own right, not just a mimic of her.
Yeah. Well, it seriously, in seeing the parts, I think one of the most surprising thing is just seeing how there's so many people that wanted her to fail, just because.
Yeah, just because. It's awful, isn't it? And there's so many people who wanted to stop her, stop her from reaching this goal that she'd set out for herself when she was 12 and put so much effort into, and was genuinely qualified. And, we see now she was genuinely able to do it. And I think it was so telling of how people really, people don't trust teenagers with their own lives. And I think, Jess really showed them that you can, I think, and to an extent, but you can.
Well, excuse me, you play that really, really well. And the moments of loneliness, even before it got to the parts of loneliness, that was my first thought going into this, wow, what a lonely experience this must have been. And especially when being still and being stuck becomes one of the hardest things to overcome. How did you want to play those moments?
Well, for me, what was really lucky in a twisted way was that at that time, COVID had just really broke out in Australia. So my home state and the state we were filming in, the borders were closed. So I hadn't seen my family by the end of the shoot for 7 months. I'd just come back from filming Titans. I had to go straight to filming Two Spirit. And so I hadn't seen my dad or my 2 sisters for 7 months at that point, so I was able to really draw from real authentic experiences, real phone calls I was having that were so reminiscent of the phone calls I was, acting out on set. So I was really able to show, I don't know, it was really cathartic. It really was to experience, to be able to let go of my emotions and feel all those things that I was already feeling. I mean, yeah, that was really special.
Yeah. Well, those moments of loneliness leads to a genuinely sweet moment of you singing Starman, which comes throughout here. And Bowie plays this part. I've got Bowie posters behind me, just coincidentally. They're always back there. And so it really lit up for me to see the boat name and everything.
Yeah, Sarah's such a huge fan of David Bowie. She really wanted him, to be a strong presence. She named her son Bowie, actually.
Really? Well, that's what I was wondering. It was that part of the real story that goes along with this. I love hearing that.
No, it was Sarah. It was Sarah who's it was her, her little touches on it with those Bowie moments. Yeah. I don't know if Jess is a huge Bowie fan.
Well, and that's fair. Not to put you on the spot, but do you what's your comfort song? Do you have one in those moments, or an artist that you turn to?
Yeah. I mean, my parents love to sing, and they love to sing together as well. And one thing that they love to sing together is "Sound of Silence" by Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, I love Paul Simon, and a lot of his songs are comfort songs. But listening to that makes me remember how they sing that together, and Dad plays the guitar. It's really gorgeous.
It's one of the greatest of all time for a reason.
isn't it? He
Absolutely.
is one of the
Yeah.
best songwriters, genuinely of all time. Sorry, don't get me started. Literally, don't get me started. Sorry. I got distracted.
I could go down that rabbit hole with you for a long way. I know
I
we're on
know,
a
God.
time limit here.
Oh, don't get me started,
I also wanted
Graceland,
to quickly, yeah, well, right. I should quickly
man.
bring up Anna Paquin too. One of the
Yes.
greats.
Oh,
What was your
completely.
experience working like with her?
I mean, she was so lovely. Unfortunately, she had to fly halfway through the shoot, so I didn't really get to work heaps with those actors because so much of it was on phone calls. So they did all their end of the phone call, and then they flew home, and then I had to do the rest of it. But she was really lovely. She had some really good advice, and just such a great, like just it's just so a bit surreal to kind of be working with her and be having a scene, do a scene with her. And like, oh, that's Anna Paquin. Okay,
Uh-huh.
wow, that's incredible. Jeez.
Well, and apologies for the obvious stretch here, but both of you having superhero backgrounds, like
Oh,
that's like, do
absolutely.
do you kind of use that a little bit in there? I mean, is there any camaraderie that just naturally happens? Like that's one of those, like,
Maybe.
only so many people in the world have that.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe I think that it's more that like because she was in the superhero world and then I was as well. Like, she's always an inspiration for me.
Yeah. What's just having that, I guess, like the inspiration part is what I'm getting at. Like you take a story like this, and it's, I don't know what I'm getting at. It's the honor and the weight of maybe
Mm,
knowing that you're an inspiration to so many people out there. Like, does that get through to
yeah.
you?
Oh, it can. I think for me, I guess because I was playing Jess and she's so good at she's so graceful at holding, carrying that burden of being such an inspiration. Whereas for me, because I was only playing her, during the sailing part, I felt kind of free and I felt like just a 16-year-old sailing. And I think that's how she felt at the time. And then obviously she came back and she was this huge icon. But I think part of the beauty of the film is that it shows the bits when she's not an icon, when she's just at home and she's trying to fix a boat and she's just, making cupcakes in a boat. I think that's the beautiful part about it.
Yeah. But just knowing that even you from Titans, I mean, you have that same effect on people. And I know sometimes that's comparing, like, somebody who's gone out and actually sailed around the world to,
No,
to
versus me who
what
just
happens in
chucked
the
on a
acting.
wig, just chucked on a wig and pretended to do magic for like 9 months.
But
No,
it still
I
lands in the same way. Yeah.
oh, I know it is really hard to wrap my head around, and I actually get a bit uncomfortable thinking about it because to me, I'm acting and I'm having a fun time. I want to, do the best job I can and enjoy the acting, as much as I can. And so it's jarring to think about the amount of people that are going to see it and, who's going to be inspired. It's nice to think about. I've always been an older sister, older cousin. So, obviously used to their adoration, but I'm not sure how I feel about, you know, so many people seeing me. It's really hard to step outside yourself.
Sure. Is there more Titans on the way? I know there was just a release last year.
There is a release of the second half of season 4. It should be coming
Right.
out this year in HBO Max. And it's a great end of the season. I mean, it's definitely my favorite season we've shot so far. Favorite story, Sebastian Sanger, Brother Blood, by Joseph Morgan, is bloody incredible. He's so amazing, and he's just become Brother Blood. So it's very exciting to watch. I'm so excited to see it.
Can't wait to see that too. In the meantime, again, congratulations, True Spirit. I'll say it again. It's such a beautifully shot and acted and inspirational story.
Oh,
All
thank you
the
so much.
accolades, all the way to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for chatting.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All three of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.